This is number one. I live in the infinite beach. The warm air stagnated with particles of dust as the ground is lightly kicked around. The mounds of trash and garbage stack high from the perception of box. Rods of metal and bags made of plastics were only the start of the formation of these trash mounds, and with them came faint odors of garbage and waste. Even the sun that shined brightly above created a hazardous environment, as the beams of light it emitted were sharp from the occasional reflective surface. This was the land known as the Infinite Beach. However, none of these irritating senses that plagued the grounds bothered the tiny being that wandered the seemingly endless expanse of the trash that was gathered there. The box wandered uh, the sight with no eyes, but still knew that they were, or where they were, and where everything else was. The box had no nose to smell with, but could still identify if something had a scent. The box had no ears, but could still understand sounds and language. All of this possible due to the box being a magical creature, the only one in their known existence. The box wandered around the dump site, occasionally sifting through the garbage they would see. If they found anything they liked, Box was more than happy to wipe the dust or dirt off of the object and strap it to their body with whatever tape or adhesive they would find. Box was comprised of two boxes for a head and a body, as well as toilet paper tubes for limbs. Their head was a box that was the size of a teapot packing box, which was upside down. On the teapot box was a crayon-drawn face that frequently resembled a smiling face, however crudely drawn it was. The second box for their body already had scuffs and tears on it, showing off the various toilet paper-filled insides of box. However, on the outside, different colors of crayons and Polaroids were glued to their sides in an almost utility belt fashion. Antennas stuck out of their teapot-sized head. An unwound wire hanger, bent and retwisted in various directions, emulated the ears that Box didn't have. Even though Box had wounds and tears to their body, they did not feel pain or sadness. The only emotion that Box needed was happiness and a fantastic sense of discovery. As they dug through the piles of which they dived headfirst into, they would return in but a moment's time, retrieving a new and unique item. In their tube arms, they pulled out a used paper towel roll. "Feet!" cried Box with a small but energetic voice. Box then took the paper towel roll and split it down the middle, each length being roughly the size of a toilet paper roll. They grabbed adequate amounts of tape to adhere them to their back, and did so. Box then wandered on further down into the infinite beach. There was no sound here unless Box was rummaging through a treasure pile, which they frequently did. A few pile dives further found them with half a blue crayon and a picture from an old camera, both of which were quickly attached to their body. Like a miracle on itself, a meteor-like object flew from the bright sky and landed itself nearby Box, shaking the infinite beach violently for a moment or two before slowly coming to a halt once again. Though Box couldn't hear, see, or feel the impact, they knew just where it landed and quickly made their way to the crash site. "Whoa!" examined the Box as the fallen object was revealed to them. Before them was a small vehicle, destroyed and its singular occupant not present inside. Not too far away, however, a nearby indistinguishable figure hovered before it. The Box waddled up to the Wanderer and began a greeting. "Hello!" Box exclaimed out loud. "You crashed!" The Wanderer turned and viewed the Box creature very closely. The Wanderer was difficult to make out. They were very thin, wearing a tan coat that covered the entirety of their body. The hat they wore seemed to stretch farther than any hat that came before and after it. The only physical feature seen was their glowing green eyes. Time passed slowly as the being continued to stare before finally speaking. Indeed. Another moment passed with the two strangers staring at each other before they spoke again. "Do you remember me?" the Wanderer asked. "It has been a long time." Box takes a moment and thinks. This is 2. I wish for friends from space. The box turned past a large pile of rubble and found a mighty starship that had fallen from the cloudless sky. The debris was still somewhat airborne, but soon to be settling on the ground. Without hesitation, the box began their approach towards the fallen ship. Waddling their way, Box finally made a stop towards the base and looked around. Not a single person could be sighted. Before long, an object flew at incredible speeds towards Box. Even without turning their head, Box could see it coming. Yet even with such omnipotence, they lacked the movement skills required to avoid it. The object dinged the back of Box's head, denting a top edge before the object fell with a thud towards the dirt-ridden ground. "I got it!" cried out a voice from beyond the piles of rubble. Box stood up and now turned to look at the object they had collided with them. It was a spherical object. Half of it was red and the other half was white. They bent down and grabbed at the ball with their tube arms, very similarly like chopsticks. "Wait, it didn't catch?" said the humanoid figure, now approaching. The humanoid figure that approached appeared as human, but had tendril-like legs of a tarantula at their back, and furry cat ears through their hair. With the ball in hand, the box reached up and offered the ball back to the unique figure before them. "Here you go! You dropped this." "Whoa, I've never seen one talk before," says another figure approaching the scene. This one looked even more humanoid, except for the antennas upon their forehead, with 2 glowing halos floating above them, and their curly, dark purple pigtails. "Maybe that's a rare type," they said, and threw a ball of their own at the box, who then was struck and toppled to the dirt again. "Umiko, stop! I don't think this is one," stated Whimsy. "What are you?" she asks aloud while also adjusting the box to its feet. "I am a box," the box obviously says. "A sentient box? Well, it's not every day you see that. Are there any others like you?" Whimsy asked. "Nope, just me," the box screams joyfully. Umiko walks up to the box and crouches down face to face to them. The box is very small compared to the 2 before them. "Sorry for pegging you in the head, Box." The box held the ball up with their toilet paper arms and presented it to them. "What shape is this?" the box asked. Umiko hesitated a moment before replying. A sphere?" she responded in a quizzical manner, not certain if the Cardboardian was testing her. "Oh," Box said out loud as they stared harshly at the ball. A moment or two passed before Box spoke again. "Spheres confuse me." "Hey, Boxy, you wouldn't happen to know someone who can get a spacecraft up and running again, would you?" Whimsy asks. "And maybe a local cuisine?" Umiko chimes in. "I don't know what a cuisine is," Box says with glee. "I can help with the ship. I love ships." "Oh, that's great," they both exclaimed. "Come on, the faster it is fixed, the faster we can go home." The 3 of them began walking to the remnants of their ship. As they walked, Umiko spotted something interesting. "So, Box, what is that taped to your body?" she asked. "My crayons. I use them to draw my face. Watch." And as Box said that, they wiped away their face with the toilet paper stored in their arms, and like magic, peeled a few crayons from their body to draw a new face. The face was like a kid's drawing, but still easily resembling a very happy face. "Let me try, Box," Umiko said. The box offered her their arsenal of crayons, and she went wild on the face, drawing intricate details on the face. Soon the masterpiece was finished, and the face resembled that of a glorious beauty. "Yay!" Box shouted, though entirely unable to see it, found it very acceptable. Umiko soon had a mischievous thought, however, and drew one detail on the backside of Box before handing them the crayons back. "What's that?" Box said with excitement. A chuckle and snicker came from her before she responded, however. "Oh, nothing, Box." "To the spaceship!" Box shouted, and began making their charge towards it once it was within eye-shot. The drawing of the two lines on the backside were visible to the two alien companions, and they were unable to hold back laughter as the drawing resembled small butt cheeks. Time passed, and the ship that they had arrived to came to life. "Wow, Boxy, I can't believe it, but you did it," Whimsy said, kneeling down and giving Box a hug. "Yeah, anything is possible when we work together," the Box cheers. What can we do to repay you, Boxy?" "Be happy. Happiness can get you through any bad time," Box replies. "But what is it that you wish for?" "Yeah, Box," Umiko speaks up. "What is it that you wish for?" 3. I wish for friends in the forest. The Box continued their journey through the dusty and sandy dump, picking up the colorful and unique objects. Though the Box couldn't see colors, or see anything for that matter, they loved the colorful and vibrant lights and shades. Something caught the attention of the Box. They bent down and pinched the colorful piece of paper that almost found the drift in the dusty wind. On the image was a colorful vision of a green grassland with flowers and trees. The primary focus of the art was a butterfly-winged person drawn on it. Even though Box was always happy, they felt exclusively thrilled with this image and placed it on a solid surface not far from where they found the paper. Removing a crayon from the tape on their body, Box began to doodle themselves, joining the fairy on the paper. The Box finishes their doodle easily, showing a cardboard smile and playful nature of themselves. A mischievous giggle chimed throughout the dump, echoing off through the rubbish. The Box couldn't hear it, as they didn't have ears, but still knew that it had happened. Box began to wander, searching for the source, turning around and around the dump piles until finding something else that was special. Around the dump pile showed a grassland stretching far beyond perception. The dump now far behind them. Flowers, trees, and bushes now littered the area, and creatures and critters scurried about. A voice finally chimed in. "Come in, come in!" The voice was the familiar giggling that the Box had acknowledged earlier. "Come play with us, friend." "A friend!" Box cried out with joy as they waddled around towards the voice. Before Box floated a fairy named Pixie, wielding the same butterfly-like wings from the photo. Pixie also shined a playful grin upon their face. "Let's play tag, Box," Pixie said as he flew away in a rapid pace. "Hooray!" Box exclaimed, chasing after the Pixie with a wobbling waddle. They chased and chased throughout the forest, seeing new creatures and friends along the way. As they chased each other, Box saw a blue jay standing on top of a board game. "Hello, Jay!" Box would happily shout at the bird. "I hate Monopoly," exclaimed Jay. Finally, Box managed to catch up to Pixie. "That was the most fun I've had," Box said out loud. "Indeed, Box, but do you know what would be more fun?" "A sword fight!" Box screams out loud. "Very much so. However, I appear to be unarmed." Box reaches over and detached their right toilet paper tube arm and handed it to the fairy. "And now you are." They both laughed and began jousting with their weapons. Jay even perched upon Box's box head and began assisting with one of Box's antennas. They all continued playing until their tubes were both worn and bendy. Pixie handed back the right tube and Box Box reattached their arm back to their body. All three of them lay down in the grass, with their arms and wings stretched out as if to make grass angels. "I wish we could play forever," Pixie said, with Jay nodding in agreement. "I've had so much fun," Box exclaims once more. "Hey, Box," Pixie said, now turning to look at them. "What is it that you wish for?" "For I have an undesired gift." Box finishes thinking and speaks without an answer. "I know. Let's rebuild your vehicle. I know how to fix those things." Box runs off and begins grabbing parts and components to help repair the vehicle. The Wanderer silently follows Box, their movements gliding along the sandy floor, leaving no trail. It is okay if you do not remember. It has been an awfully long time. Box continues to work, but finally answers the Wanderer. "I do know you. Your arrival means more friends." Box then proceeds to peel some cardboard from a pile of rubble and marks a window with one of their crayons. "This will be the door." "Though hesitant I am, I know that taking it now is only inevitable. Hold still for a moment, and it shall be over swiftly." The Wanderer grabs Box and holds them still as they begin to siphon an object from Box's being. As the red crystal emerges from Box, the world around them fades to darkness, slowly consuming the infinite beach in shadow. The crystal moves towards the Wanderer as Box can only watch. Soon the red crystal begins to merge with the Wanderer, entering the entity just as it had left Box. As it fades into the Wanderer, the shadow quickly recedes from the infinite beach until finally everything is as it once was. The Wanderer drops Box, and Box hits the ground with a thud. After moments of not moving, Box jumps up. "Hooray!" exclaims Box, now bursting with energy. "Now to finish your vehicle." The Wanderer shifts along with Box, this time with more weight upon their shoulders. 5. I wish for friends under the ground. Box wandered the piles of rubbish once again in search of treasures and goodies. They dug and dug around the trash until finally revealing a flashlight. Box slapped the light against some debris over and over until finally the light illuminated. "Yay!" exclaimed Box with a rod of light. Box walked a little downward and placed the light on top of a worn metal table and aimed it towards a sad excuse of a wall. Box walked in front of the beam of light and began making very crude shadow puppets on the wall before them. The Box giggled in merriment, making shadows and shapes from the shadows and pretending that the objects were real. "Now I shall make a box," they shouted and jumped in front of the light, emulating the box they had for a head. Success! Soon night fell, and it was dark around them. Box had no fear of the dark as they couldn't see, but they still had total awareness. Even still, they grabbed the flashlight with both tubes and began making their way further through the dump. The terrain became less and less full of garbage and more rocky. Soon, the dust and the sands of the dumps became more earthen and rough. Finally, after traveling, Box reached a cliffside and peered over the edge to see a bottomless pit as far as they could sense. Box wanted to illuminate the pit and attempted to hurl the flashlight off the cliffside and succeeded, but ended up not letting go of the flashlight. This pulled them over the edge of the cliff, hurling them into the complete darkness at the bottom of the cliff. Box tumbled, the edges of the cliffside bumping and tearing into their cardboard body. A gash from their back opened and light bits of toilet paper spilled out. Crash and boom, Box spun and splattered until finally reaching the bottom, bumping and denting their box head once again. The flashlight fell, and though attempted to flicker, continued shining. The light illuminated a dark cave at the bottom of the chasm. "Whoa!" Box said in amazement, picking up their beaten-up cardboard body and beginning to make their way to the cave entrance. Box's movement was staggered from the fall due to one of their tube legs having gotten bent. As Box approached the cave mouth, hobbling, Box waved and shouted within. "Hello, friend!" echoed Box's voice. The sound chimed over and over for almost a minute before anything happened. Box continued to make their way inside. A figure emerged from the darkness, a light in their hand, making the cave room a bit more visible. "Hello?" said the soft voice. "Hi, I'm Box," Box said out loud, their voice still echoing throughout the cave. "Hi, Box, I am Kaffy," the voice stated, accompanied with a smile. The figure was fully visible and appeared to be a woman with bat-like features. A bat ear and small bat wings adorned her body as she walked with a cane. "What are you?" Box asked inquisitively. "I am a shapeshifter," she stated. "I take the form of anything living that I can touch. I haven't gotten used to my legs yet, though, so I resort to using this cane." Then she turned the question around. "And what are you?" "I am a box!" exclaimed Box, and Kaffy laughed. "So it appears," she responded. "What are you doing here?" Box asked. Kaffy shook her head. "I do not know," she exclaimed. "I fell from the sky, and I don't remember too much after that. I do remember home, however, and would like to return to it someday." "Let's do it then!" Box shouted, reverberating their voice throughout the cave walls. "Let's get you home!" "Wait, really?" "Yeah, let's go!" And Box hurried off. Or as much as they could hurry off. The box limped and hobbled at such a small pace that Kaffy was able to easily keep up with them by using their cane. They traveled a bit until coming across a boat that lay crushed upon the rocks. "This can get you home," the box explained. Kaffy appeared confused, but accepted the box at face value. The two of them traveled into the crashed boat and wandered around for a bit. "A pirate ship," Box said, and Kaffy nodded. "It is very cool." Then Box got to work putting the ship together. Their methods were unconventional and unrealistic, but given the short amount of time, Box managed to get the pirate ship airborne. "How is that possible?" Kaffy asked. The box pulled out a crayon and began to etch something onto the ship. They quickly finished their drawing and directed Kaffy's attention to it. "Here, when this takes off, you can use this to remember this fun time," Box stated and pointed to the drawing, revealing a very childlike drawing of the two of them together. "Oh yes, it's very nice," Kaffy added, suspending her disbelief and letting the ride take her home. "Were you wanting to come home with me, Box?" "More than anything in the world," Box stated, but ended up staying off the ship. Kaffy laughed and then asked another question. "You've helped me so much, Box. What do you want in return? What do you wish for?" "6. I wish for friends on the shore." Box reached down and grabbed another chunk of crayon they had found on the sandy ground. "Blue," they stated before taping it onto their body. Over the mounds of debris and garbage, a noise could be heard from beyond that Box has never been witness to. The sound shimmered in volume, gaining volume and then becoming quiet once again. If Box had senses and could hear, they would be all the more excited to witness it. Turning through the piles before them, a view they have never held witness to appeared, a large body of water before them, scaled out as far as Box could see. The tides pouring in and out made the sound that would have lured Box in if they could have heard it. "Whoa!" Box admitted out loud. "This is the most amazing thing I could have even imagined." The tide rose and fell. Box walked within it and in a few moments quickly absorbed the water with their cardboard legs. This made the legs weak and unstable. which made Box quickly toppled over backwards and splashed into the tide with a soft thud. Are you all right?" a stranger asked, rushing up to the box, carefully pulling them out of the tide. The water had begun to wash away Box's face, so Box wiped the face away and dried themselves with the paper towels stored in their tubes. They then pulled out a crayon from their tape stash, and they drew a very crude face upon themselves again. "Hello," Box said out loud. The figure gave a light laugh and began to speak. "You're a silly creature. What is your name?" "I'm Box," Box explained. "Who are you?" "I'm Fua," she said. "I'm a sea fairy from the water." She pointed to the infinite water. "I came here looking for people to become friends with, but I haven't found anyone yet. You're the first one." "I love making friends," Box says. "I can be your friend too." Both Fua and Box sat just far enough away from the tide. "Isn't it beautiful?" Fua asks. "I love it," Box says before standing up and approaching the tide once again. Box then runs towards the water once again, only to meet the very same fate as before, but this time landing face first upon the tide. Fua giggles, walks over to the box, picks them up, and places them on a dry spot on the beach. "You have to quit doing that, Box." "Okay," Box exclaims before coming to a new revelation. "Let's go find some friends." Fua laughed and agreed and began to walk with Box. She had to hold on to the tube arm of Box for support, as Box's legs were not fully dry enough to walk properly yet. "Are there others just like you, Box?" Fua asked. "Just me," Box said. Where are you from, then?" "I come from a fridge in a box, the top half of one. I found it one day." Then Box turned the question around. "Where are you from?" "I come from the sea," she says, pointing towards the water they walk near. "That's so cool!" Box exclaims, jumping to the best of their ability with their excitement. They continued to walk down the beach side for quite a while, talking about anything that had come to mind. Box had dried and put a new face on. Soon, on the horizon, a few figures emerge. Even further beyond them, the looks of houses and buildings spanned. Those figures they could see waved, and both Fua and Box waved back. Fua ran towards the figures with glee, while waving, and turned to Box as she ran. "Come on, Box, let's go." "Yeah," Box said in joy, watching Fua make her way to the population, but didn't run with her. "Come on, Slowpoke. Isn't this what you wished for?" 7. But what I really wish for is... The sounds of crafting and taping can be heard throughout the infinite beach. A Box was diligently at work repairing the vehicle. "There we go!" Box exclaimed, and the vehicle came to life, sputtering and spewing like an engine. "It's finished!" The Wanderer nodded. Imagination is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Box danced around the vehicle with such pride and joy. "Yeah, it's wonderful. That being said, it is time for me to make my leave." The Wanderer said that and began to make their journey away. "I hope this helps with your wish, if it still remains the same." "It is," Box exclaims. "My wish is to one day become real." And just like that, the infinite beach was silent once again. The Wanderer was long gone, and the vehicle that Box constructed fell apart and collapsed to the ground. After a few moments, Box begins to make their way home. They walk past the garbage piles, occasionally stopping for more bits and bobs they find. "Ooh, a crayon!" The beaches rushed to life, waving forward and backward as thoughts and ideas pushed and pulled with the tide. Creativity swelled, and the minds of the imaginative grasped at the infinite expanse of their dreams. The waters of the beach could be scooped up and made into a reality by those with the minds and imaginations to do so. Each thought and creation plucked from the beach of thought and dreams seemed boundless. The realm felt endless and vast of those and things that were yet to be imagined by the imaginative. Only those chosen by the imaginative could then become imaginative themselves. And more imaginatives were born as more were born. The infinity of the world grew smaller and smaller. The tides of imagination receded further and further until they were swallowed entirely. The infinite beach was then born. Those and things that remain within the infinite beach are those and things who haven't been imagined and haven't become real. All that remains is the scrap left behind. Finally, Box made it home to his top half of the fridge box. Inside are cutout pictures and taped images on the wall. Box sat down and wiped the face off their box head and became inanimate. Tomorrow is a new day. I get to meet my new friends soon. Though Box never dreams, but a dream came to them today. A dream of their friends. A dream of tomorrow.